This is the Sinner review for the reforged S-Rank Sinner RF Coco. Wow, you guys are super interested in her RF. I'm surprised but happy since I do like her a lot myself. Anyway, let's get into it. Summary for people who just want the build and to go. Here is the DPS build. Here is the team for your presets for Dark Zone. This is the one for TOA. And if you want alternatives, I'll talk about that later. Reforged for Coco is a huge buff to her, so chiefs intending to run her should definitely upgrade it. Her base kit, words. Basically, her ult allows her to put a poppy flower on an allied unit. Whenever she does damage, allies with a poppy flower get some healing. If you ult someone with a poppy already on them, they get healed for a nice chunk. Her main damage is from her ECB triggering her P1, Floral Sword Slash. Basically, a Floral Sword Slash is when she hits these little slashes up to 10 times. You can tell she's got one ready to go on the next basic attack when her sword is glowing. Her ECB makes all normal attack damage hits from allies who have a poppy also trigger a Floral Sword Slash, and this is the whole idea behind DPS Coco. The limit on how many can trigger per second is as much as your phone or PC can handle. You want her allies to be hitting normal attacks super fast to spam a billion Floral Sword Slashes, which is why she's back in the meta with Celine, who buffs attack speed. Not only that, some Sinners whose abilities count as normal attack damage will also trigger Coco's ECB, such as Augustus' ult or Murphy's ult. This does mean that skill damage basic attack like Water Blue or Isomers will not work to trigger Coco's ECB. That's why her current perfect team in TOA is RF Coco, Augustus, Murphy, RF Summer, Cito, and Celine. Augustus just hits a bunch, Murphy gives big buffs to true damage and normal attack damage, Cito's there for core break, some buffs, Celine's there to give everyone more attack speed and general buffs, particularly RF Summer. So RF Summer gives some normal attack buffs, but more importantly, Coco's poppies work on summons, so all of them count as hits for her. You can't really see them in-game or target summons directly, but if you put a Sinner on the same tile as a summon, then use Coco ult, the summons also get a poppy, kinda invisibly, since everyone in the tile gets one. This also applies to Sinners like 11 or Priscilla. Okay, TOA done. General teams. This is what I have in my own presets as I showed earlier for Dark Zone purposes. Basically, the idea is as follows. Put down Augustus' ult somewhere, vaguely over the boss and most mobs. Then you buff Celine's stuff on Coco and Augustus. You put Coco flowers on Augustus and Murphy. Then you use Coco's ECB, use Murphy's ECB on Coco, so that she gets debuffs. Use Empowers on Murphy and just keep spamming ults. You can use Shin and Cito's ults like for fun if you need more damage. I don't because mine are max shackles. If you're lacking some team members here, you could switch out maybe Shin or Celine, whoever doesn't have S3. You can put in T-Tron and LL to refund more ults to Murphy, since each Murphy hit counts for extra Coco triggers. You technically don't need Cito either, just someone who can core break. If you have like S0 everyone and not enough damage to kill the map in the first Coco ECB, just wait until the second Coco ECB and do it again. You can play around with choosing either 4B, which makes it faster to get the next ECB, or 4C, which makes one ECB last longer, and see which one works better for you. I personally prefer 4C since I just kill in the first ECB, and like, Murphy's ECB is a 30-second cooldown too anyway, so you want to sync them up. The runs playing in the background while I've been yapping all this time are using 4B just kind of for fun, so it does work as well. All stages here were done buffless, no crime brown Coco to imitate a lower shackle kind of vibe, and yes, the season buff is not true damage, it is elemental, so no gotchas there. The biggest damage gain here is probably Murphy's ECB and S3 on Celine, but you are allowed to use more than 4 Sinners and to choose a buff that works. As you can see though, I'm using Coco ult during the break to forcibly trigger extra Floral Sword Slashes through Coco's S1, which I don't usually have to do with a full team. So good time to talk about that since a lot of people ask if you still need S1 for Coco after Reforge. The answer is kind of. It's a concrete DPS gain, But if you're not chasing high score clears and you have maybe a couple of key shackles like S1 Augustus or S3 Celine, and like actually use a full team and buffs, S0 RF Coco will work. S1 just lets her do stuff like burst heal the whole team on demand in an emergency and pump out a bit more damage. It's a bit situational. It's not a case like S0 Celine or S0 Zero, which is genuinely quite cope. S0 Coco is fine. Anyway, another game mode a lot of people struggle with is Peak Test Path. Well, you can bring High Shackle RF Coco to Peak Test Path, and she just goes around being super rude to the bosses, and like personally, I'm flabbergasted that she can down Shin's Peak Test Path fully. I wasn't expecting that while doing tests, but honestly, I haven't had the chance to test with low shackle teams on a variety of stages, so I cannot confidently say how good the performance here is at low shackles for Peak Test Path, so just kinda keep that bit in mind. About statistics, I know people are gonna be like, oh, why do you need ECB3? ECB1 is 80% of the damage, it's a lot. That's not how probability works. Each hit being an 80% chance to hit is not the same as 80% of all hits hitting the trigger. Unfortunately, my Coco is ECB3 on all my accounts, so I can't demo it, but how game calculations work is pure math. So let's take this simulation I wrote in Excel. Basically, I pulled down a list of 50 random numbers generated each time an edit is made to the sheet, and did a check on whether the number generated is less than or equal to the ECB trigger chance between 0 to 1, to represent whether this one particular hit struck a floral sword slash or not. Then I compared the ECB 1, 2, and 3. You can see in quite a lot of them, the ECB 1 and 2 trigger chances are not really the same as the percentage would suggest, and even at like 50 hits, which is a decent sample size, not the greatest, but you know, that's kind of like the point I'm trying to make, especially in shorter fights like Dark Zone. Include the duration of ECB into each one, and as you can see, every time I reroll, the damage gap is much bigger than 20%. ECB1 kind of basically floats around a 50% damage loss, and ECB2 is around 25% compared to ECB3. So ECB3 is pretty important for Coco, and unfortunately, I would say to play her, you should commit to it. Grandma is expensive, y'all. In conclusion, if you are a fan of Coco or just want a really brain-dead team to charge through Dark Zone every season and most casual content, RF Coco and her team is worth checking out. If you are more concerned about the higher end of the meta or maxing scores, then this team is definitely skippable and you should invest into teams more made for that purpose instead, such as Arcane Crit Isomer, RF Darren, that kind of thing. RF Raven and RF Irene will be a little later because their kit is really simple. You basically just have alt use alt or have empower use empower. So my next video will be prioritizing the pull Rex for the anniversary because we are currently on the Celine Isomer patch, which is an important patch for us. So I think it'd be kind of better if I pushed my work on doing the research on anniversary sinners a little earlier, so that you could better judge how many shackles you want to pull on Isomer and Celine now relative to the anniversary. So yes, I will see you in the next video very soon. Bye bye!